Tags, or tactical armoured gears, are the pinnacle of Infinity forces, huge walkers of war that accent the rapid Black Ops and hit-and-run nature of Infinity. They've replaced traditional armour and infantry fighting vehicles to bring the punch for when 6 months or more of planning goes to hell in a handbasket in about 60 seconds. Tags are a staple of Infinity and often draw in new players and more experienced players to switch factions. So this video is about my favourite 5 tags in the game. I'll be looking at design, profile, and generally which ones I would want to actually buy. Oh, and we just have one dishonourable mention because I looked at literally all the tags in the game and it was just this one that wasn't that great. There is no faction limit this time, unlike my heavy infantry video, as there would only be 5 tags and that's not really that fun. So it gets to be all the factions. There are no honourable mentions either, or this list would be like an hour long. Before we begin, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Right, so this dishonourable mention, it's the Wiltrack, the new Morat tag, and I want to preface this with, it's fine. Like, the stats are okay. It's BS13, which is a little naff on a tag, and the guns are neat except the weird CC +1 burst on CC17. NCO is good, especially in Morats. But why do I dislike it? Well, the BS13 in ARM 7 isn't good, and the fact it's now a fatter S7 over the original Silhouette 6 is a solid minus, and well, finally it's the model. The model is a solid 4 out of 10, which is saying something because I genuinely had to look at all the production models and recently out of production models to find which tag looked the worst. And this is probably it besides the old Morat. But at the same time, this is Corvus Belli and it's a 4 out of 10 for them, so we're talking about a market-wide 5 out of 10. The whole thermoplastic resin thing is something I don't really care about. In fact, I really like it and I'm encouraging its use. I just hope some of the issues get resolved, like the mold slips and the quality control. Let's look at it top to bottom design-wise. What I assume is a portable autocannon looks not great at all and seems to be 5 or 6 tubes put together. The Morats have a better looking one on the old Kurgats, and I don't think it even needs to be beefed up that much to be put on attack. Next is the weird head, which makes it look hunched, which is fine if it was invoking a gorilla here, but we don't go far enough to that design. However, if we go further on the model, I think we come to the single most contentious issue. It's the Pogo Monkey pilot. Like, I'm glad it's not another 2 arms sticking out the side, but maybe armour up the poor lad so he doesn't get cut in half by a jumping anti-tank mine. Slap a riot shield on him or something to protect him. Just seems like a good way to waste good pilots. The arms and legs are fine. I really like the Mantis blades. I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk, both game and genre, so I'm down for new and unique melee weapons in Infinity's post-Cyberpunk design space. Finally, for a bit of fun rather than just whining what is ultimately a very okay sculpt, just not to my taste, I have 2 suggestions for the model, and if you want to run one. 1, proxy the one from Tac Raid, or kit bash this horrible monstrosity. I made here in paint for a laugh. I'd be terrified of it, the Fallout Sentry Bot mixed with V from Cyberpunk. I'm on a bit of a combined army kick recently, looking at the Morats, stuff like the Surats, Tyroks, and I think the main point of this entry is obviously the Raichu. So I mean, it's just the build track, but better stats, but also better looking and a much better design. I kind of love the look of the Raichu, and it has a shield. I gotta love those shield models. Lore-wise, I love the animal skin on it and how the pilot needs to go out and hunt such a massive beast to be able to not only wear the pelt as a sign of respect, but be allowed to pilot the tag. The massive backpack kind of suits that it's such a battle walker, and there's no little spindly arms at the side, and it's entirely mechanical, which is wonderful for the combined army. Profile-wise, it's fairly solid with an NCO option with a couple of Lieutenant +1 order models available in the army. It's very hard to hack down thanks to Veteran from being a Morat, BTS 6, which is tag standard, and a very nice EMC -3 to hacking. Immunity critical acts like a cherry on the cake and means a lucky missile strike shouldn't bring down the monkey man, or woman. However, let's talk about all of the combined army tags, because all of them, again besides the build track, are absolute bangers. The overdrawn is a little rough, but I love the design and concept of a sniper tag. Xenodrons both look great and make sense as sort of like super heavy infantry / line tags, which is something Combine Army can totally do to crush small armies. The Avatar is a game-defining behemoth, one that the model absolutely matches the myth. The Megalodon, while not officially an ITS model or even an N4, is an absolute horrifying concept to show that CA is only just getting started with its invasion, and more horrors await the human sphere. Finally, the Sphinx is as great as well as a hidden deployment tag and looks suitably sneaky and alien. Each one serves the theme of Combine Army being a jack-of-all-trades army, and the reason that Combine Army is the second best tag faction. How can I not have the Maggie on this list? The ambulance with attitude. Literally that tank from Ghost in the Shell, and to be honest, I love it. It's got a fairly good profile, on the slightly costly side, but no two tags are costed the same, but it's still really nice for its cost. So designed from bottom to top. It's a non-humanoid tag, so I really like it from the get-go. It's got little pincers with either 2 heavy pistols or heavy flamethrowers, so it's possible to revolver Ocelot with a tag, which is fantastic. The body is the aforementioned Ghost in the Shell tank. It looks really rugged and befitting the armies of Borok, and is the only Silhouette 8 tag in the game. It has 4 legs rather than 6 or 8, but it's better than 2. And finally, it has a tail, which is actually another absolute massive positive. Not only that, it houses the heavy rocket launcher, the HMG, and potentially the mine launcher, or ECM, in those little enclosed radar dishes. Rules-wise, it's a massive zone control piece with mine dispensers, 360-degree visors, templates, heavy pistols, baggage, and ECM hackers, which makes it very hard to shift in its own right. Then on top of that, it's rocking a full non-panel main battle tag stats of BS-14, Armate, BTS-6, and a multi-HMG, so it can compete with the rest easily enough. Overall, it's an iconic piece of Infinity, so of course it's on this list. From one tag that oozes style to another, the Salamander squad might be the best looking Nomad tag and is, in my opinion, in the top 4 or 5 best looking tags in the game. And that's largely why it's on this list. Before I came to appreciate the Seraph, Mahagriba Guard, or the Chernobog was announced, I wanted to grab a Silhouette 7 tag for proxying, and the Salamander was the only real tag on that list, except maybe the Lizard or the Raichu. I mean, it still is, but now I have a Silhouette 7 tag, so it would be solely for the purpose of owning and painting this wonderful model. So why does it rate above the Raichu, most of Combine Army, and the Maggie? Well, it looks so nice with its underslung, heavy magnetic rail cannon, looking like a hefty minigun which befits this massive and direct war machine. Then there is the tail, which I have no idea why it's a thing, but it's great, and it adds a nice little balance to the model. The head is that of a Vostok, which keeps it nice and consistent with the Tunguska Jurisdictional Command, and Nomads in general. The paint scheme works, and the hexagonal shoulder pads are perfect for the main battle tag of the Nomad nations. Finally, the last amazing detail is the big block over its shoulder is actually its heavy flamethrower, which seems excessive, but again is perfectly befitting this massive war machine. There is a kit bash out there that moves it to over its shoulder in a firing position, which ups the ante of the model. Removing it also works to clean up the back, so either way, on or off, it only improves the model. Profile-wise, it is a nice but basic main battle tag with BTS 9, which helps against total control even if it's damage 16. Armate BS 14 and a heavy magnetic rail cannon makes it a pretty standard if slightly different tag. It also costs 2 SCW for a reason, which is odd but fair. Overall, it adds a massive amount of firepower to Tunguska and Nomads in general, and it just oozes enough style that makes me want to buy a bunch of Tunguska right now. Of course there had to be a military order tag, and what a two to pick between. One's technically an Acon tag, but with a coat of religious fervour, although hella nice looking, mind you, and the other is built from the ground up as an angel of battle befitting military orders perfectly, and is anime as hell. The Seraph, of course, is my pick for number 2, and it's a really nice tag. The profile is okay, to be fair. It could use more armour and more AP, but it's unique. It's a large, light tag like the Oyuri or Bulltrack, but its unique selling point is that it's a melee tag with an Oxbot. So that means burst 2, damage 17, explosive CCWs on 23s with martial arts -1, which is really nice. I have a video where I talk about what I do to this tag and what other stuff I do to fix these issues. It's still good, to be fair, since it's a 3-wound rim press tag with BS-15 and a HMG or Spitfire with a 4-point mine clearer or disposable assault piece. But it's the design that nails this tag and the fluff. First off, the tabard, which fits the rest of military orders bang on. Then we have this massive great sword. Perfect. The head is small and odd, and I don't know what I do to fix it off the top of my head. Either make it a bit more like a knight or angelic, but I think that could be going a little too far. And finally, the wings. It 100% suits the super jumping nature of this tag. So lore-wise, why does the Seraph exist? Well, it's Pano and we need a tag. And besides that, well, the officers of the military orders were too fervent and kept nearly dying in battle leading from the front. Now, to protect the officers, they decide to bring these guys into piloting the remote presence tags to stop them suiciding themselves. Now, the Seraph is the first thing the enemy sees in a military orders assault, a terrifying visage of the military orders and the hyperpower's premier weapon of war. Given the factions I adore and what my number 2 is, I think it'd be obvious who my number 1 is. The Chernobog, named for the Slavic god of destruction, and oh boy does he live up to that. It's a non-humanoid tag, so no stupid arms, and it's got multiple points in its favour for it. It's got an underslung HMG, but not in a bulky way, more like an Apache or Hind gunship, which is probably how I'll be painting mine. The glowing ball are a bad paint job and should be cameras, which is what I'll be taking inspiration from. The other source of inspiration is clearly multiple rocket launch systems, which is a bleeding shame that it did not get the mule options. Instead, you can bring a heavy flamethrower, heavy rocket launcher +1 burst alongside the Ariadne standard issue AP HMG, which, if you humour me in pointing out the round that modelled on the gun, are huge and probably closer to like a 20mm cannon rather than the 5.56 or 7.62 out of the machine gun's original design, which I think is incredibly Ariadne. Pano might shoot good, but Ariadne shoots to kill. Profile-wise, it may degrade, but it really gives the Chernobog character and makes it seem like an old machine of war that fights until it slowly dies. Much more analog compared to the digital alive or dead of its contemporaries. It gives it a sort of mechanical weight and girth. A 20mm squad automatic weapon and a multiple heavy rocket launch system is great, but aside from that, it very clearly has a claymore mine strapped to the front, with the front towards enemy very clear. The heavy rocket launcher and the heavy flamethrower do overlap with the HMG and chest mines, but it's nice to have these options. The AP HMG will shred tags, or you can have a burst 3, damage 16 continuous damage HMG range gun, or a burst 3 HMG that ignores covers in case you want to nuke an aero piece that's too dug in, or splash a fire team that's a little too buddy-buddy. It being Ariadne's first tag also is a big plus in its favour, and it absolutely fits the faction through and through. I'm really happy with its design and the space within the faction. Just maybe give it to USARF and TAC. So that was my video on my top 5 favourite tags in Infinity, and honestly, I'd love to hear what your favourite tag is in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more. Thank you so much for watching.